Well, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us here on this Monday night as we begin our 2-hour show here inside our Impact Studio on WCNC Plus. We're going to begin with the president speaking on a number of things, but he starts out talking about this new fleet of Navy battleships. So we'll get more from him, not only on this, but also discussing the Epstein files and some of the photos that were just released over this past weekend and last week. We'll get more from the president right now. Let's listen in.
Surprise, more expensive, but not even comparable in terms of the importance and the strength. Yeah, please.
What's your timetable for these first two ships, and do you see them as a counter to China?
We'll start almost immediately, and we'll probably talking about 2.5 years.
And in terms of the mission, do you see it as a counter to China?
It's a counter to everybody. It's not China. We get along great with China. I have a great relationship with President Xi. And not China, it's just everybody. You don't know who comes along. but we just wanted peace through strength. Hopefully we never have to use them, but there will never be anything built like these. Think of it, those battleships are incredible. These have 100 times the power. Think of that. I mean, and they were big and they were powerful. You know, I thought about taking some that are in dry dock and changing them, and then when I said that, you know, if we did, would be about, we could increase, if we doubled them, they'd be at like just a tiny fraction of what one of these was. This is the new. It's beautiful. It's the first renderings of what we're doing. So I want to wish everybody a big hello and Merry Christmas and welcome to Mar-a-Lago for this exciting announcement of the new Golden Fleet. We're calling it the Golden Fleet that we're building for the United States Navy. As you know, we're desperately in need of ships. Our ships are, some of them have gotten old and tired and obsolete, and we're going to go the exact opposite direction. We're delighted to be joined by Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, who's doing a fantastic job, and Secretary of the Navy, John Phelan. Marco Rubio is here, who gave a great few words toward the end of last week. He spoke for a couple of hours on what a good job we're doing, which is true. As Commander-in-Chief, it's my great honor to announce that I have approved a plan for the Navy to begin the construction of two brand new, very large, largest we've ever built, battleships. You know, you used to build the Iowa, the Missouri, the Wisconsin, the Alabama, many others. We had big battleships. These are bigger, but they will have 100 times the, they'll be 100 times the force, the power, and there's never been anything like these ships. These have been under design consideration for a long time, and it started with me in my first term, because I said, why aren't we doing battleships like we used to? And these are the best in the world. They'll be the fastest, the biggest, and by far 100 times more powerful than any battleship ever built. So if you look at the Iowa, the Missouri, Wisconsin, Alabama, and others, but they were similar in size, some a little bit bigger than the others, but if you take the biggest one, it's 100 times more powerful. They're longer by a little bit, but and they're bigger ships, but they hold much more. They use the word lethality. Battleships are the largest, sturdiest, and most heavily armed vessel built specifically for naval combat. While America has built many new warships over the years, they've tended to be smaller, much smaller, and not conducive to where we are and where we're going, and peace through strength. But including, we've been building aircraft carriers. We're going to be upping that also. We're going to be going to a superior aircraft. We have the Ford class. We're going to be upping that to a different class of aircraft carrier. And we haven't built a battleship since 1994. These cutting-edge vessels will be some of the most lethal surface warfare ships. It will be actually the most ever built other than our submarines. We have submarines which will have, in many ways, even more lethality, and we have many of them under construction. Each one of these will be the largest battleship in the history of our country, the largest battleship in the history of the world ever built. And again, it's 100 times more powerful than the previous Iowa class, it's called. Those are the big ones that you see on a show. Victory at Sea. I don't know if anyone's seen Victory at Sea, but it was a classic. They'll help maintain American military supremacy, revive the American shipbuilding industry, and inspire fear in America's enemies all over the world. We want respect. We're going to have it. We already have it. We're more respected now than we ever were. A year and a half ago, they laughed at us. Now they respect us again at levels that they've never respected us. We envision that these two ships, we're talking about 10, but we're going to start with 2, and we're going to quickly morph into 10, and ultimately we think it's going to be anywhere from 20 to 25 of these. But we're starting with the first 2 immediately, and we're going to then be very quickly involved with, I think, we're going to do another 8 and then we're going to ultimately and pretty quickly have a total of about 20 to 25. We'll make that determination. We envision that these ships will be the first of a whole new class of battleships to be produced in the years to come. From Theodore Roosevelt, the Great White Fleet, you remember that, the Great White Fleet, to the legendary USS Missouri, whose massive guns helped win World War II. America's battleships have always been unmistakable symbols of national power. We stopped making them for whatever reason, I don't know. And I want to congratulate John Thalen, who is your secretary of the Navy. He came to me the first day we met. He talked about battleships, and I said, you're absolutely on the right track. He said, why are we doing other things? We have missiles, which are much more expensive. By the way, these battleships have tremendous numbers of missiles, but they also have guns. And in many ways, guns can do the trick just as well as missiles at a tiny fraction of the cost. Once completed, these new 30 to 40,000 ton plus vessels will be the flagships of the American naval fleet, and there has never been anything built like them. And I just want to, be very clear that we're building them here. We're working with others, but we're building them here. We have great Navy yards. We'll be negotiating with some of the companies that are running those yards, taking over the yards. We used to build a ship a day during World War II. Now we don't do ships very much anymore. We do military ships, we do submarines. By the way, we're 15 to 20 years advanced in our submarines over anybody else. That was one of the things that I did in my first term. We make the best submarines by far in the world. We're at least 15 years advanced ahead of anybody else in submarine development. Most powerful, that's right, the most powerful weapon anywhere in the world, undetectable. So the battleships are going to be armed just in terms of guns and missiles at the highest level. They'll also have hypersonic weapons, many hypersonic weapons, state-of-the-art electric rail guns, and even the high-powered lasers that you've been starting to read about. We have lasers where you aim the laser at a target and it just wipes it out. We're going to have, there'll be the most sophisticated lasers in the world, and the most sophisticated laser in the world will be on the battleships that we're building. They'll also carry the nuclear-armed, sea-launched cruise missiles currently under development, which will be instituted pretty quickly, but they're under development and they've proven to be extremely lethal. The U.S. Navy will lead the design of these ships along with me, because I'm a very aesthetic person, alongside our partners in American industry, and we're going to have Pete Hegseth and Marco and a lot of very talented people involved, but a lot of it's already been done. We've been doing this for months. The construction will create thousands of American jobs. We're going to have the jobs be created. I mean, already we have factories being built unrelated to this, although AI will be a big factor when it comes to these ships. They'll be very AI controlled. Today's announcement is yet another step in our mission to make the United States Navy stronger than ever before. Again, when you talk about 100 times the power of these massive ships that we had years ago, it's pretty amazing. And next week I'm going to meet with the defense prime contractors. I'm going to meet with them here, Florida. And we're going to be talking about production schedules because they're too slow. We have many countries, allies, that are wanting to buy. We make the greatest equipment in the world by far. Nobody's even close, but they don't produce them fast enough. So we're going to be meeting with them to talk about the production schedules. We're going to have strong production schedules. And the only way they're going to be able to do that is to build new plants. Even with the F-35, we have many people want the F-35 fighter jet, and it takes too long to deliver them to allies or to ourselves. It takes too long. The only way they're going to be able to deliver them is if they build new plants. They don't want to build new plants because that's expensive. So we're going to be discussing production schedules. We're going to be discussing CapEx spending. We'll be discussing the the pay to executives where they're making $45 and $50 million a year and not being able to build quickly. They're going to make that kind of money. They have to build quickly. Again, we make the best equipment in the world, but they don't make them fast enough. And we're going to be also discussing dividends. We want the dividends to go into the creation of production facilities. So we'll be talking about all CapEx, dividends, and the pay. We're also going to be talking about buybacks. They spend so much money on buybacks. They want to buy back their stock. I don't want them to buy back their stock. I want them to put the money in plant and equipment so they can build these planes fast, rapidly, like immediately. I mean, I have sold more planes than any president by far, times probably 20. So every time I go someplace, I sell 100 planes. That includes commercial planes, Boeings, etc., but it also includes fighter jets. And I'm always having to say 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, helicopters, Apache helicopters, many years. India bought them. They want to get them. They don't want to wait a long time. So we don't want to have executives making $50 million a year, issuing big dividends to everybody, and also doing buybacks. And then they say, well, we don't have the money to build the plant. They got to build plants. Plants to make F-35s, plants to make helicopters, plants to make the F-47 new jet. And that's it. And that's what I'm going to be talking to them about. They're going to start spending money on building airplanes and ships and the things that we need, not in 10 years and 15 years. We need them now. And we're strong about it. Last week, the Navy announced a brand new class of frigate, and they're going to be working with the South Korean company. Hanwha, good company, recently agreed to invest $5 billion in Philadelphia Naval Shipyard. We're opening up the Philadelphia Shipyard. Once a great yard. Now it was a long time ago decommissioned, but now it's reopening. Working with the Navy and working with private companies. The record-setting defense bill I signed last week authorized $26 billion to build new ships, including destroyers and various others. We already have a lot of submarines, as you know, under construction. We're building a lot of submarines. I tell you, to be exact, we have right now 15 submarines under construction or ready to start. And we have, again, the greatest submarine in the world with our technology, like they talk about chips. Well, I would say submarines are a bigger deal than chips. We're at least 15 years ahead of any other competitor. China, Russia, nobody can come close. We're also building right now 3 large aircraft carriers in addition to the ones we have. And we have, actually, interestingly, we have a lot of submarines. How many submarines do we have now altogether, approximately?
Sir, over 30 today.
What?
Over 30.
We have over 30. But these are the super duper subs, and there's nothing like them. So we're going to be doing from 12 to 15 brand new submarines. We have a couple of other things going on. We'll be building other elements of Navy. We'll be fixing up headquarters. We'll be fixing up places for our great sailors to live. And we're going to be working very hard with companies, but we're also going to be penalizing companies that aren't doing a good job. For instance, when they built the Ford, Gerald Ford, the cost overruns were ridiculous. That was done in Norfolk, Virginia. We're going to be talking about that with that company. The cost overruns were out of control. In World War II, the United States built upwards of 4 ships per day. Can you believe it? 4 ships a day, on average. And now there weren't all big warships, but there were ships, freighters, tankers. And it's a tragedy that we allowed this incredible capability just go astray. We don't do that much anymore. We do build our warships, but that's about it. But that's a lot. We're going to restore America as a major shipbuilding power. We're going to ensure the USA is the most powerful fleet anywhere in the world, and long into the future, with battleships helping lead the way, and the submarines that, again, nobody competes with us on submarines. So I just want to thank everybody, and I'd like to ask Secretary Hegseth to say a few words, followed by to the Secretary, but if you would, Secretary of the Navy. But Pete's doing a fantastic job.
All right, folks, before we get to Secretary
we have-
of War Pete Hegseth, we're going to go to a 2-minute break. We'll be back right after this to listen in. Welcome back, everyone. We're going to go to the President and Pete Hegseth about to speak right now.
Drugs are down 96.2% coming into the United States. 92.6 by sea. And soon we'll be starting the same program on land. The land is much easier. But every one of those boats that we knocked out saved 25,000 lives. So we saved 25,000 lives every time we knock out one of those boats with the drugs pouring in. And you just have to see it. I mean, people say, oh, gee, do you think it was really drugs? Well, just take a look. Bags all over the place. That's not fishing equipment. There's no fishing rods on those boats. They move fast. When you see a boat with 4 engines or 5 engines on, going 40, 50 miles an hour, well, they get hit. We save 25,000 lives every single time we knock out a boat. And it's over 96% stopped by sea. We're trying to figure out who the other 4% are, frankly. And we're going to have the same success, but even quicker, because it's much easier on land. If they want to come by land, they're going to end up having a big problem. They're going to get blown to pieces, because we don't want our people poisoned. 300,000 people died, probably last year 300,000. A lot of people say it was 200. Somebody said last night, it was only 175,000 people. That's like 3 stadiums, big football stadiums filled up with people died. But I think the real number is 300,000. We're not going to have that anymore. So we're doing a great job, and we enjoy doing it. Our border is secure. Our country is strong. Trillions of dollars is coming into our country from other countries and companies. They're building factories and plants, including auto plants, all over the United States of America. Without tariffs, they wouldn't be doing anything, although they were very happy with the November 5th election. But it's only because they want to avoid paying tariffs that they're all coming in. And again, the biggest number was $3 trillion in history. That was China many years ago. Now it's $18 trillion, and that's just in 10 months. We think we could hit $20 trillion. That's investment in the United States, including plant and equipment. So thank you very much, and I'll ask Pete to say a few words, and then John. If you have any questions, we'll take them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, Mr. President, you're exactly right. There are no fishing poles, no fishermen, and no fishing boats, just drug dealers and narco-terrorists. And with every strike, we're saving American lives. No other president was willing to do real deterrence. That's exactly what's happening. It's an honor to be here, Mr. President, Mr. Secretary, Secretary Rubio, to talk about what peace through strength really looks like. You can talk about it, or you can invest in it, and you can build it. And that's exactly what President Trump is doing. At the Department of War, we're restoring the warrior ethos. In fact, the President mentioned the NDAA. We put into law merit-based. We put into law getting rid of DEI and political correctness. That's now part of how our military operates. And you've seen it in record recruiting in the spirit of the Department of War. We're rebuilding the military. President Trump did it once. He's doing again with historic investments today in shipbuilding. And we're reestablishing deterrence. Whether that's at the border, whether it's through Golden Dome, what happened with Midnight Hammer and what Iran found out, those drug boats, and of course the Houthis opening up the shipping lanes. American strength is back on the world stage. And the announcement of the Golden Fleet, anchored by new battleships, the biggest and most lethal ever, accomplishes all three of those things and marks a generational commitment to American sea power. Across the entire department, we are developing new operational concepts, deploying cutting-edge technologies, and making major investments, including in our Navy. This is happening in all domains, including space, as the President has talked about before anyone else. So it's the highest of domains and the lowest of domains under sea, and especially today in sea power, that always has to be decisive, has been in the history of America, and will continue to be under the leadership of President Trump. We will make sure that anything that flows from our country and with our allies flows freely and uncontested. New and better ships will provide that deterrent today and for generations to come. This new class, these new investments, will be the types of things that for decades, for centuries, the American people will look back and thank President Trump for having the vision and the willingness to invest right now in capabilities we need today, tomorrow, and long into the future. So, Mr. President, thank you for this investment, and I'll hand it over now to the Navy Secretary.
Thank you.
Mr. President, Secretary Hegseth, Secretary Rubio, thank you for being here on a very consequential day. From my very first conversation with President Trump about serving as the Secretary of the Navy, he's talked about the great Iowa-class battleship and why America doesn't build ships anymore with that kind of offensive firepower that takes the fight to the enemy. During my time in the job, I've talked extensively with our combatant commanders, like Admiral Paparo and Admiral Cooper, and our CNO, Admiral Cottle. And what I've learned is that not only is the President's idea a good one, it's something that Navy desperately needs and now has a formal requirement for. The future Trump-class battleship, the USS Defiant, will be the largest, deadliest, and most versatile and best-looking warship anywhere on the world's oceans. I want to thank the President for his vision to make this game-changing capability for the United States Navy. The Iowa was designed to go on the attack with the biggest guns, and that's exactly what will define the Trump-class battleships. Offensive firepower from the biggest guns of our era. This ship isn't just to swat the arrows. It is going to reach out and kill the archers. And for the first time in generations, we'll have a new leg in America's nuclear deterrence, because the Trump-class battleship will carry the nuclear-armed, sea-launched cruise missile. Striking dominance isn't all that the Trump-class battleship brings to the fight at sea. It has the size and capacity to serve as a flagship for our fleet commanders so that they can command and control naval forces far out to sea. As shown in the series, and the President mentioned it, Victory at Sea, Admirals Bull Halsey and Raymond Spruance commanded the war in the Pacific from their battleship flagships during World War II. Now this new battleship will command everything from warships to drones and everything in between. We're going to make battle groups great again. And this is just one piece of the President's Golden Fleet that we're going to build with the investments he talked about. A new frigate, the right frigate, the one our warfighters have told us they need. More amphibious power for our Marines with new capabilities like the medium landing ship. As part of the Navy's high-low mix, we're moving out aggressively on unmanned vessels with funding from the President's One Big Beautiful Bill to bring options to the fight and pull new, non-traditional defense partners into the American shipbuilding ecosystem. And we're making a generational investment in support ships. Logistics wins wars, and that kind of shipbuilding is the spark that will ignite the industrial base and help power the commercial shipbuilding that the President has called for. Under your leadership, Mr. President, we will have more tonnage and firepower under construction than ever before in our history. Building the President's Golden Fleet means jobs across the United States now. There'll be work for shipyards everywhere, from Philadelphia to San Diego, from Maine to Mississippi, from the Great Lakes to the Gulf Coast, and for manufacturers that will build components for this battleship in every state. The President has been clear. We must bring back our American maritime industrial might. And he has told me many times that as Secretary of the Navy, it is my job to equip our sailors to win the fight at sea with the finest ships in our history. To conclude, the USS Defiant battleship will inspire awe and reverence for the American flag whenever it pulls into a foreign port. It will be a source of pride for every American when it brings home our brave sailors who will sail defiant, raise their fists, and say, "We are peace through strength." And our adversaries will know when the Trump-class USS Defiant appears on the horizon, American victory at sea is inevitable. Thank you, Mr. President. Now when a conflict arises, you are going to ask not one, but two questions. Where are the carriers and where are the battleships? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just want to mention.
All right, guys, we'll take another 2-minute break. Of course, we'll be back right after this 2-minute break. All right, welcome back, guys. We're going to go back to the president and a number of his cabinet speaking right now on this Trump class of battleships.
Tremendous success, and he wanted to do this, and for nothing, he's taken probably the largest salary cut in history. But he wanted to do it. He wants to rebuild our Navy, and you needed that kind of a brain to do it properly. So I just wanted to give you a little information on him, which is probably enough. But one of the most successful men in the country, and he's that because he understands it, and he understands finance in addition to what we're talking about. Somebody who's doing a fantastic job is Marco Rubio, Secretary of State. And Marco, maybe say a few words, and then we'll answer some questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I don't have much to add. This is a phenomenal presentation. Thank you, Mr. President. This is American industrial power returning. This is the ability, once again, to rebuild, to have industry in the United States. This is generational in the change, not just in terms of applying American war power, increasing our ability to protect the seas. The U.S. Navy is the single biggest source of peace in the world of all of our forces because it gives us a global footprint. But it rebuilds American industrial capacity. The ability to make things again in our country has been critical to what the President's agenda has been all about, and this is a tangible reminder of it. And I know the country's grateful for it, and generations of Americans will be grateful for it. So thank you.
Thank you, Marco. By the way, I think I'd just like to point out that these ships are made of steel as opposed to aluminum. It's a big difference, as you know. Battleships, the great battleships, had 6 and 7 inch steel hulls, and these are going to be likewise made out of very powerful steel. Our steel industry is coming back very strongly, by the way. It's coming back at record numbers, and we're going to be using them for the steel, but as opposed to an aluminum side, which, in all fairness, is not the same. So, John, we're going with all steel, I understand. Yes, sir. And it's going to be something that people are surprised, more expensive, but not even comparable in terms of the importance and the strength. Yeah, please.
What's your timetable for these first 2 ships, and do you see them as a counter
Yeah,
to China?
we'll start almost immediately, and we'll probably talking about 2.5 years.
And in terms of the mission, do you see it as a counter to China?
It's a counter to everybody. It's not China. We get along great with China. I have a great relationship with President Xi, and not China. It's just everybody. You don't know who comes along, but we just wanted peace through strength. Hopefully we never have to use them, but there will never be anything built like these. Think of it. Those battleships are incredible. These have 100 times the power. Think of that. I mean, and they were big and they were powerful. You know, I thought about taking some that are in dry dock and changing them, and then when I said that, you know, if we did, would be about, we could increase, if we doubled them, they'd be at like just a tiny fraction of what one of these was. This is the new technology, which is incredible. So we decided pretty early on not to do that. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, Julio Rosas with Most Peaceful Media. You just referenced the lower amount of illegal drugs that are coming by sea, and you just said that you're going to start that same program on land soon. Are you just referring to Venezuela, or are you referring to other countries in Latin America?
Anywhere drugs are pouring in, anywhere, not just Venezuela. Yes.
Speaking of Venezuela, oil. What are we going to do with the oil that we have?
Going to do with what?
The oil that has been seized. The United States seized 1.9 million barrels of oil on December 10th.
We're going to keep it.
Where's it? Are we going to sell it or put it in the strategic?
Maybe we'll sell it. Maybe we'll keep it. Maybe we'll use it in the strategic reserves. We're keeping it. We're keeping the ships also. Yeah, please.
About Venezuela, sir, have you spoken to American oil companies that have had their assets seized about what a post-Maduro Venezuela would mean for them, of what coming back and restarting operations?
The big ones, yeah. I have. Yeah, please.
Why do you feel like this initiative was neglected for so many years, and does this come amidst the rising tensions between the U.S. and Venezuela?
We're talking about with Venezuela?
Yes.
Well, you had a different kind of a president before me. They didn't mind being ripped off. They didn't mind being robbed. They didn't mind drugs pouring into our country. They didn't mind the jails of Venezuela and Trinidad, Nicaragua being emptied into the U.S., where they take over Colorado and other places. I do mind. So you had a different kind of a president. I hope people are enjoying it because we've never been respected more than we are now. Yeah, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Were you surprised by the number of photos of Bill Clinton in the Epstein files? And can you commit to their
By
full...
what?
Were you surprised by the number of photos of Bill Clinton in the Epstein files? And can you commit to their full release by the end of the year? Some of the victims were protesting that too many of them were redacted.
I know there are a lot of people that are angry about all of the pictures of other people, you know, but I think it's terrible. Look, I like Bill Clinton. I've always gotten along with Bill Clinton. I've been nice to him. He's been nice to me. We've always gotten along. Respect him. I hate to see photos come out of him, but this is what the Democrats, mostly Democrats, and a couple of bad Republicans are asking for. So they give me their photos of me, too. Everybody was friendly with this guy. either friendly or not friendly, but he was around. He was all over Palm Beach and other places. The head of Harvard was his best friend, Larry Summers. And Bill Clinton was a friend of his, but everybody was. I actually threw him out of Mar-a-Lago. And as a person that was in Mar-a-Lago, I threw him out. Mar-a-Lago, this is Mar-a-Lago. It's the hottest place I think it's the hottest place in the world, but it's the hottest place in Florida. And everybody would come here, he'd come here. We actually threw him out. But no, I don't like the pictures of Bill Clinton being shown. I don't like the pictures of other people being shown. I think it's a terrible thing. I think Bill Clinton's a big boy, he can handle it, but you probably have pictures being exposed of other people that innocently met Jeffrey Epstein years ago, many years ago, and they're highly respected bankers and lawyers and others, and they'll end up, because of guys like Massey, who's a real lowlife, whose polls are down to about 9%, by the way, in the great state of Kentucky. If you look at Kentucky, Kentucky is such a great place, but I don't know, they've got a couple of people in there that are very strange in terms of leadership, but Massey's a loser, and he likes it, and that he works with the Democrats. He's just being used by the Democrats, because what this whole thing is with Epstein is a way of trying to deflect from the tremendous success that the Republican Party has. Like, for instance, today we're building the biggest ships in the world, most powerful ships in the world, and they're asking me questions about Jeffrey Epstein. I thought that was finished. I believe they gave over 100,000 pages of documents, and there's tremendous backlash. It's an interesting question, because a lot of people are very angry that pictures are being released of other people that really had nothing to do with Epstein, but they're in a picture with him because he was at a party, and you ruin a reputation of somebody. So a lot of people are very angry that this continues. A lot of Republicans are angry because of the fact that it's just used to deflect against a tremendous success. Look, we have $18 trillion coming into our country. We have, I believe, we're going to have the most successful economy in history. We inherited a mess. Now prices are coming way down. Gasoline is less than $2 in some states, $1.99, $1.97, $1.95 a gallon. $1.95. Think of that. A gallon. Nobody ever thought they'd see that. They don't want to talk about that. They want to talk about Epstein. And the problem is a lot of Democrats are being caught up in the web, like Larry Summers. Larry Summers was the head of Harvard. He's now been forced to resign from every board he's on, and he was thrown off the Harvard board. Now he was at Epstein's Island a lot. I wasn't. I never went there, by the way. But fortunately, it's nice. But I never went there. But a lot of people did go there. But instead of talking about the battleships, or instead of talking about most favored nations drugs, we're bringing down drug prices like at a level that has never even been thought of, by thousands. Think of it, by 1,000%, by 1,200, 1,300, 1,400% in some cases. A drug that sells for $10 in London is costing $130 in New York. We're bringing it down to $20, and they're going to go up to 20. So they're going from 10 to 20, which is a doubling. It's a doubling. It's a lot, but it's a doubling. But we're going down to 20. So we're going down, if you can do your own math, but it's 2,000%, 3,000%. It's pretty amazing. And the New York Times had a story about it, a small story, way in the back of the paper. It's the single biggest thing to happen with respect to drugs probably in 50 years. It's never been anything like this. In my first term...
All right, folks, take another 2-minute break. Of course, we'll come back to the president right after this. All right, guys, welcome back. We are going to go back to the president as he was just speaking. We'll go to it now.
So proud of myself. Now we're doing them 2,000%, 1,500%, 1,200%. That pill that sold for $130 will now be selling, as an example, for $20. Because the rest of the world took advantage of us. Without tariffs, I could have never done it. I called up the heads of the countries, as an example. France, I spoke to a very good man, President Macron of France. And I said, Emmanuel, you have to raise your drug prices. He said, no, we will not do that. I said, you have to. He said, no, I don't want to do that. Look, you're asking me for go to $10 to $20. You're going to come way down to 20. We don't want to do that. Now, in all fairness, no other president even tried. But if they did try, there was actually a fake story in stupid USA Today. I didn't even think they'd make it anymore. I haven't. But I saw a story where Biden was trying to do this. Biden never tried to do it. Biden didn't know he was alive. He never tried to do it. But they're taking it from $10 to $20. So he would say, and the other leader said the same thing. No, we won't do it. They said, no, you're going to do it 100%. They said, nope. We're not doing it. We're not going to double our price. Because, again, if you go from $10 to $20, they're doubling their price. We're coming down, though, from $130 to $20, because we're going to get the lowest drug prices in the world. Whatever the lowest price is called favored nations, we're going to have the lowest price. So I said, no, you're going to. No, I will not do this. Politically, it's unacceptable. I said, Emmanuel, you're going to do it 100%. Please accept it now. Be nice. You're going to do it 100%. No, I will not. I said, yes, you will. He said, why do you keep telling me I am when I'm not? Because if you don't do it, I'm going to put a 25% tariff on everything France sells into the United States of America. And that's approximately 20 times more than I'm asking for with respect to drug prices. He said, I see. I agreed to do it. Every other country said the exact same thing. They all said, no, I will not do it. I said, all right, on Monday morning, you'll have the 25% tariff, everything you sell. In the case of France, it was wine, champagne, cars, everything they sell. It's 25 to 30 times the price of what we're talking about, at 25%. Every single country agreed. And that was a big problem. The drug companies were difficult, but fine, because we have a certain control over the drug companies. We had no control over these foreign nations. So every single country has agreed to do this. So we will take that pill price down, as an example, talking about not just pills, we're talking about everything. We'll take it down from $130 a pill down to $20 a pill. And the rest of the world will take it from $10 a pill up to $20. It's the biggest thing ever to happen, and it's covered, barely covered in the New York Times, because it's a fake newspaper. Yeah.
Mr. President, on shipbuilding, how does the administration plan to ensure that there's sufficient workforce availability as you're producing these ships?
Could you speak up?
How does the administration plan to ensure there is sufficient workforce availability as you're producing these ships?
We're going to have it. We're going to have tremendous workforce availability. We're also going to have robots helping us. We're going to have a lot of robots helping us because we need it. And because we're going to town, we're building a lot between the AI and the auto plants. So we're going to need robots. We're going to have robots, but that's going to help us. We're going to have a tremendous workforce, and in order to operate you're always going to need people. You know, you can have robots, but you're going to have to get somebody to start those robots, and you're going to have to improve the robots. But we're going to have robotic factories plus manpower. So we're going to have enough. We're going to need the help of robots and other forms of, I guess you could say, employment. We're going to be employing a lot of artificial things, but the beauty is we're going to have more jobs than we've ever had. Just so you know, a number came out the other day. We have more jobs right now in the United States. More people are working right now in the United States than at any time in the history of our country. Think of that. Pretty amazing. So we'll have the help of, mechanical help, if you want to call it that, but we'll have tremendous employment. They'll be paid a lot of money. They'll do better than they ever did. Okay?
Mr. President,
Some may have been expecting a different kind of announcement today, hearing your Secretary of War and Secretary of State here. You mentioned strikes on land in Venezuela more than 15 times, even now, just in your recent remarks. Why should Maduro take your threats seriously? And
He can do whatever he wants.
what's your end game?
Maduro?
What's your end
He can
game?
do. There's no answer. He can do whatever he wants. I mean, we have a massive armada formed, the biggest we've ever had, and by far the biggest we've ever had in South America. He can do whatever he wants. It's all right. Whatever he wants to do. If he wants to do something, if he plays tough, it'll be the last time he's ever able to play tough. But they sent their prisoners into us. They sent people from jails, prisons. They sent people from mental institutions and insane asylums into the United States, just walked right in because Biden had an open border policy. What the Biden administration did to our country can never be forgotten. They took in millions and millions, 25 million people over the course of 4 years. Many of those people were murderers and drug dealers, prisoners, rough prisoners, 11,888 murders. More than half of them killed more than one person. They came into our country. Now, I spoke to Christine Noem today. I spoke to Tom Homan today. He came down to see me. And we had a great meeting. They've done an amazing job. We're getting them out. We're getting them out very fast. But this should have never happened. But Venezuela was one of the... Venezuela took advantage of the open borders that Biden created more than any other country. Tren de Aragua, we had gangs all over. Look, I mean, you have a very weak governor in Colorado. Look what happened in Colorado where they would occupy apartment houses. And he didn't want to do anything about it because he was scared. Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead, please.
So in response to the United States taking sanctioned oil from Venezuela, Colombian President Gustavo Petro criticized the United States by saying, well, the Southwest is stolen land and that it should be returned to Latin America. I just wanted to know what your response to that is.
Well, he has to watch because, you know, he's got drug factories. They make cocaine in Colombia. And he's no friend of the United States. He's very bad guy. And he's got to watch his ass because he makes cocaine and they send it into the United States of America from Colombia. We love the Colombian people. I love the Colombian people. They're great people, energetic, smart, great. But their new leader is a troublemaker. And he better watch it. He better close up those cocaine factories. They have at least 3 major cocaine factories. We know where they are. He better close them up fast, yeah. By the way, it's made and sold into the United States. Comes through Mexico.
Thank you, sir. You've named Governor Landry to be new special envoy to Greenland.
Yeah.
How do you? What do you see that role entailing? And is it still your intention that Greenland
Well, he called me,
become part of
and
the
you know,
U.S.?
he viewed Louisiana, the Louisiana Purchase. He said, I'm governor of Louisiana. And he said, I would love, I didn't call him, he called me. He's very proactive. He's a great guy. He's a deal guy. He's a deal maker type guy. And we need it for national protection. We need Greenland for national protection. They have a very small population. And I don't know, they say Denmark, but Denmark has spent no money. They have no military protection. They say that Denmark was there 300 years ago or something with a boat. Well, we were there with boats too, I'm sure. So we'll have to work it all out. But he felt very strongly, we need it for we need Greenland for national security. Not for minerals. We have so many sites for minerals and oil and everything. We have more oil than any other country in the world. We need Greenland for national security. And if you take a look at Greenland, you look up and down the coast, you have Russian and Chinese ships all over the place. We need it for national security. We have to have it. And he wanted to lead the charge, so we're making him, Marco, today, a special envoy to Greenland. Greenland's a big deal. Yeah.
Mr. President, on Ukraine, can you give an update on the talks that took place this past weekend, and could a trilateral discussion of sort be the next step for Ukrainian, U.S., and Russian
So the
delegations?
talks on Ukraine, Russia are going along. They lost, as you know, 27,000 soldiers last month, mostly soldiers, some people in Kiev, etc., but mostly soldiers. And the talks are going along. And I say that, you know, there's tremendous hatred between these two leaders. Between President Putin, President Zelensky, tremendous hatred, and I hope we can get it done. We are talking, talks are going okay, but you know, I've solved 8 wars And Thailand is starting to shape up. You know, they started with Cambodia, they started up again. But I think, Marco, we have that in pretty good shape to have that stopped. So we stopped 8 wars, and I thought this would be in the middle of the pack, but maybe easy, but in the middle of the pack. But there's a lot of hatred between those two people, and when there's hatred, there's, you know. But we stopped one war 38 years, one war 35 years, one war was going on for 32 years. And we stopped, think of it, we stopped a potential nuclear war between Pakistan and India. And the head of Pakistan, highly respected general, he's a field marshal, and also the Prime Minister of Pakistan said, President Trump saved 10 million lives, maybe more, by getting that war. You know, 8 planes were shot down. That war was starting to rage. And he actually said the other day that President Trump saved 10 million lives, maybe more. So we solved all these wars. The only one I haven't solved yet is Russia, Ukraine.
Are you still pushing for the Christmas Day deadline with Russia and Ukraine? And have you spoken with Putin or Zelensky or plan to push the deal?
I'll do whatever I have to do. I mean, I'd like to see it stop. Look, we don't lose any money on that war anymore. You know, Biden gave $350 billion, and who knows what happened to it. We now sell missiles, planes, all of the best military equipment. We sell it to NATO. We got NATO to go from 2% GDP to 5%. Nobody believed that to this day. Nobody's going to write that, but nobody believed it. And they take that money and they pay it to the United States for weapons. So we sell weapons to NATO. We sell full price. We sell weapons to NATO, and NATO takes those weapons and probably distributes them, but gives a lot of them to Ukraine. So we don't lose any money like we did with Biden. He was spending money like a fool. He was a fool. What he did to our country is so horrible. But he gave $350 billion between cash, gave a lot of cash, $350 between cash and weapons. You remember at the beginning of that whole thing, I gave them javelins. Javelins are the anti-tank busters. And President Obama at the time gave them sheets. I gave them javelins. They gave them sheets. But you know, the bottom line is time for, I think they're all tired of that war. Everyone's tired of that war. It's got to stop. Yeah, please.
The U.S. was in active pursuit of a sanctioned oil tanker yesterday. Are you able to share what became of that tanker? Was the U.S. able to seize it?
No, it's moving along, and we'll end up getting it. Yeah, we're actually pursuing it. Can you imagine? Because it came from the wrong location. It came out of Venezuela, and it was sanctioned. Yeah, please.
Ultimate goal in Venezuela to force Maduro from power.
Well, I think it probably would. I can't tell that. That's up to him what he wants to do. I think it would be smart for him to do that. But again, we're going to find out. Look, Venezuela did terrible things to the United States. They sent hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people into our open border. They sent their criminals, they sent their prisoners, they sent their drug dealers, they sent their mentally insane and incompetent people into our country more than any other country. Others did too. The Congo did. Others did too. And we just let them come right in because we were run by a stupid president. But you don't have a stupid president anymore.
Mr. President, have you set up the meeting with the health care insurers just yet? And what are you hoping to get?
I'll be setting it up. I think we're going to meet with the healthcare insurers, the insurance companies. So what I'm asking for in healthcare is very simple. Obamacare is a disaster. I call it the Unaffordable Care Act. Unaffordable as opposed to if it's unaffordable. They're going to have a tremendous increase in premiums, which is Obamacare, which is them, the Democrats' fault. They'll try and blame Republicans. It has nothing to do with us. It's the Democrats' fault. What I want to do is we spend hundreds of billions of dollars a year that go to insurance companies. I want that money to go to the people and let the people buy their own health care. And everybody loves it. It's become our issue. Now, before I do that, I'll meet with the insurance companies, just as I met with the drug companies. As you know, we're meeting with 4 other drug companies, Johnson & Johnson, but they've all agreed. We're meeting with them this week. It's coming. It'll be a similar meeting. They've all agreed. But nobody would have thought the drug companies were going to do what they did, where they're giving away free drugs. They've been so great, okay? And we have most favored nations. Nobody thought that was possible. I don't think any other president ever tried to get it because they never thought they could. But with respect to the insurance companies, I want to meet. There's essentially 14 of them, 10 big, but there's a total of 14 pretty much, pretty big. And I want to meet with them, and I want to say, I want you to cut your rates way down, way down. And maybe if they do that, we'll be able to not cut them out. We'll be able to continue to deal with them, which is probably a little easier process. I think the best process is pay the money directly to the people, let them buy their own health care. But I'm going to meet with them the first week back. I do it now, but they're trying to come up with a schedule. They want to meet badly, they've told me, but they want to come up with a schedule. I said, make it a good schedule. Your rates have to come way down. We're also going to meet with other insurance companies because under Biden, the insurance rates have gone through the roof. Auto insurance, home insurance. I mean, insurance companies are making far more than they're entitled to make. So we're going to be doing that. But just in the meantime, we'll be meeting with the insurance companies in the first week, the first few days back in Washington, because they're trying to come up with a proposal that will satisfy me. Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate it. I hope you're going to enjoy the battleships. They're going to be beautiful. Thank you. And have a great Christmas if I don't speak to you. Thank you very much.
All right, everyone, we're going to cut from this. We do have some breaking news just in from our Nate Morabito around 7:30, and he was telling us a little bit about how the North Carolina House Oversight Committee is now demanding records and information from not only the city of Charlotte, but CATS and CMPD. This is in relation to all the safety issues that have happened over the last 6 months to a year, and even longer than that. As we know, there have been multiple incidents prior to Irina Zarutska even being killed that we have reported on. This was dated on 12/19, apparently, and it says, quote, "We have received letters from the State House Oversight Committee," this is from the city, "requesting information that we are working to be responsive to this request. We respect the committee's role and will take this opportunity to work with them to provide the information that they have asked for, much like we did with the State Auditor's Office and the Federal Transit Authority earlier this year." As you know, the Transit Authority of Mecklenburg County, or our area, just met not even a week and a half ago. So things are just kicking off, and that was really related to the PAVE Act and how things are going to get funded through that 1-cent sales tax. So another turn here as the House Oversight Committee looks for more information from not only the city, but also CATS and CMPD on safety and information records and included in that. So we'll get more on this. I'm sure Nate Morabito is going to be digging through this and asking questions. Tomorrow we will have more for you, of course. We wanted to get that news for you. We will have more information, of course, tonight at 11. But for now, we'll take a quick 2-minute break. We'll see you on the other side. All right, everyone, welcome back. We appreciate you coming back with us here on WCNC Plus. Some huge news inside the sports world as we see that the Chiefs will leave their home at Arrowhead in Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and move to Kansas City, Kansas, it sounds like. So some breaking news we have. We're going to get to this right now.
Represent the largest economic win in Kansas history. And this win will also cement Kansas as a global destination for sports and entertainment. And it seems like Governor Kelly and I are making major announcements every few months, from Panasonic to Merck Animal Health to Hilmar Cheese. And with today's announcement, the Kelly administration has now topped $30 billion in committed private sector investment and 80,000 jobs. But the best part is nothing is bigger than what we're going to announce today. Though, make no mistake, the Chiefs aren't just another economic win for Kansas. This is much bigger than that. The Chiefs are a part of who we are as Kansans. And now, they'll be such an important part of our future for years and for generations to come. Let me speak about our governor now. Since the moment that Governor Kelly took office, she's been on a mission. First, to get our state back on track, and then to invest in the future and to make sure that Kansas is the best place in America to raise a family. She has done just that. Years ago, Kansas was making headlines for the wrong reasons. But today, now, we're making national and global news. And this time, for all the right reasons. Our future in Kansas is very bright, thanks to the leadership of a transformative governor. Please welcome our governor, Laura Kelly.
Good afternoon, everybody. And oh, what an afternoon it is. Before I get started, though, I need to recognize the good, hard work of our Lieutenant Governor and Secretary of Commerce, David Tolan, and his absolutely superb team at Commerce. They worked day in and day out, around the clock, in concert with the legislature and with the Chiefs, to make this dream come true. We would not be here today were it not for David Tolan's patience, persistence, and perseverance. So on behalf of every Chiefs-loving fan, I thank you, David. But no, I will not be renegotiating your paycheck. You know, in my over 7 years as governor, I've had the privilege of making some really big announcements, but none bigger than this. Today's announcement is truly historic. Actually, it's a little bit surreal. Today's announcement will touch the lives of Kansans for generations to come. Today's announcement is a total game changer for our state. Because today, we are announcing an agreement to bring our beloved Kansas City Chiefs right here to Kansas. And to the rest of the nation, I say, take heed. Kansas is not a flyover state. We are a touchdown state. When I became governor in 2019, I first needed to fix Kansas, then to grow Kansas. And the way to do that was not only to attract new businesses and jobs to Kansas, but to change people's perceptions of our state. People needed to see Kansas for what it is, a place of innovation, a place where big things happen, a place where young people can pursue their dreams. Truly the best place to live, work, and raise a family. A place they're proud to call home. A very cool place. And what could be cooler than being home to the Kansas City Chiefs? We are turning Kansas into a national center for sports and entertainment. We are making Kansas a tourist destination for the region, for the nation, and for the world. The economic impact of all of this is massive. The new stadium will be in Wyandotte County. It will be a world-class facility, the envy of professional sports. It will be surrounded by an entertainment district to beat all entertainment districts, hotels and restaurants and bars and more. Game day will be all day. And there's more, a lot more. The Chiefs will establish a new team headquarters and a brand new practice facility in Olathe, Kansas. All of this will amount to over 20,000 jobs and over $4 billion in economic impact. And that's just during the construction phase. That's electricians and construction workers, iron workers and carpenters, good jobs, jobs that support families. And very significantly, this agreement protects Kansas taxpayers, with the state's portion coming from revenue generated by the stadium, entertainment venues, and the Star Bond District, as well as lottery funds. So let me repeat. The state's portion of this project is paid for with revenue generated from the project, not with new taxes, not by shifting funding from other essential state services, but with the new revenue that will be generated by the project itself. When we talk about the Chiefs in Kansas, it's not just about the dollars and the cents and the new jobs and the prestige. It's about bringing together two forces, the Chiefs and the state of Kansas, that have so much in common. A rich tradition, a solid work ethic, an all-for-one, one-for-all approach to living, a healthy competitive spirit, and a love of winning. The Chiefs won 3 Super Bowls over the past 5 years because they worked hard and they worked together. I can brag that it was during my tenure in office that the Chiefs were so successful. And also why they decided to move to Kansas. But this win is not mine alone to celebrate. Just look behind me on the stage. This got done because we brought Republicans and Democrats together at the local and state level. Everyone committed to doing what's best for Kansas and for our future. You don't often see this type of bipartisanship in our politics today, but that's how we do things here in Kansas, especially when the stakes are high. And to Clark Hunt and the entire Chiefs organization, you, your family, your entire organization are one class act. Winners on and off the field. And Clark, I know you chose Kansas because you've always got an eye on the future. Well, so do we. We've always been Chiefs fans, and now we are Chiefs family. Welcome home to Kansas.
Thank you, Governor Kelly, and thank you all for being here today on this very historic day for the Kansas City Chiefs and the Hunt family. When my father started the American Football League, he had big dreams, both for the league and for his team. And as he moved the team from the Cotton Bowl to Municipal Stadium to Arrowhead Stadium, his focus in every instance was to give the fans the best possible experience. Today is another step in that legacy of innovation and that fan-first mentality. At the Kansas City Chiefs, we chase big dreams. On the field, those dreams involve division titles, conference championships, and Lombardi trophies. But off the field, we're big dreamers as well. When the NFL started playing international games, we were among the first to sign up with the goal of bringing the Kansas City name all across the planet. When North America won the bid to host the World Cup, we helped lead the effort to bring the world's most popular tournament to our backyard. As the age of modern media changed the landscape for our fans, we became the first NFL team to create our own entertainment studio. And our community engagement efforts through the Hunt Family Foundation are dedicated to ensuring that our impact reaches far beyond football. We are big dreamers, and my family and I have devoted our lives to making.
All right, guys, we're going to cut into Mr. Hunt talking right now. We'll come back to this here in just 2 minutes. We'll see you after this break. All right, folks, just like that, we are back. We're going to go back to Mr. Hunt speaking about them moving the Chiefs from Missouri to Kansas.
And told us about their big dream. It's a state-of-the-art stadium, a world-class training facility, a new team headquarters, and a vibrant mixed-use development. It's a public-private partnership whose primary beneficiaries are the citizens of the greater Kansas City area. It's a big dream, and today is a major step in making it a reality. Don't get me wrong, we have a lot of work to do. We're still early in the process. In the months ahead, we will hire an architect and a contractor and get to work on the 5+ year timeline to build a new stadium. And I can't say enough about our great partners. Thank you, Governor Kelly and Lieutenant Governor Tolan, for sharing your vision. Thank you, Senate President Masterson, Speaker Hawkins, and members of the LCC, for helping to make this vision a reality. Thank you to Mayor Watson, Mayor Bacon, and the local government leaders who have joined in their effort. Thank you to Mark Donovan, our team president, for working with leaders on both sides of the state line to make today possible. Chiefs fans everywhere owe you a debt of gratitude. I also want to say thank you to the leaders in Missouri. For more than 50 years, we've had tremendous partners in Jefferson City, Jackson County, and Kansas City, Missouri. That partnership is not over, and we look forward to working together in the years ahead. Chiefs fans on both sides of the state line can tell you that the success that we've enjoyed together over the past decade has elevated the profile of the entire region. Sports are woven into the fabric of this community. And if you travel and go to New York or LA, to Europe or South America, you don't have to tell people which side of the state line you're from. You tell them you're from Kansas City. And there's a pretty good chance that the response might have something to do with the Chiefs. Regardless of where you live or where you're watching from today, I hope this team has made you proud. And I hope you are as excited as we are about this next chapter in Chiefs history. I'll close by saying this. In the 60-plus years of this franchise, we have called 3 stadiums home. And we have brought home a championship to every single one of those stadiums. Today's announcement ensures that for generations to come, Chiefs fans will have the best game day experience in the entire National Football League. That our children and grandchildren will have a place for their own unforgettable moments. And I promise you this, we'll do everything we can to bring trophies home to Kansas. Beginning with the 2031 season, the location of Chiefs games will change. But some things won't change. Our fans will still be the loudest in the NFL. Our games will still be the best place in the world to tailgate. And our players and coaches will be ready to compete for championships. Because on the field or off the field, we're big dreamers. And we're ready for the next chapter. Thank you very much.
In case you're wondering, the 31 on the jersey is for 2031, when the stadium will open in Kansas.
They thought it was my age.
Well, as both the governor and Mr. Hunt have said, it takes a team to get us here, and this has been a truly bipartisan effort, and we're grateful to have our LCC members who just voted for this extraordinary agreement here on stage with us. And I'd like to introduce the LCC Chairman, Senate President Ty Masterson, and Vice Chairman, Speaker Dan Hawkins.
This is good. You know, big things like this happen, everybody rushes to take credit, but like David said, the truth is, it's just like on the football field, it's a team sport. You know, that's a group of men doing something very different in their own capacity to function as one unit, and you saw that here. So thank you for the effort you put in, David. Really, thanks to the legislature, thanks to the LCC, thank you very much to the Hunt family. So it's, you know, I feel like the team, I'm going to use some football analogies if you're going to go. This game started, that scoring drive really started far enough back to go back to former Speaker Reichman in the Kansas House. And this thing started in the legislature. That's where the scoring drive started, right? With the allowing legislation that made that happen. And then teamwork takes it down the field. And it was really just the tush push by the LCC today, right? That put this thing over the line. I feel like Kansas won the Super Bowl game. That is, and really the congratulations, the real congratulations go to Chiefs Kingdom. This is going to be amazing, right? It is already a top shelf experience at Arrowhead, but you're going to have a better traffic experience, you're going to have a better tailgating experience, you're going to have a better seat, better view, and there's just going to be amazing things happen in Kansas. And the other person to congratulate is the Kansas taxpayer, to pull this off without raising a single tax. Not a penny raised in new tax. It's all built on growth. So congratulations all around. Thank you guys for celebrating with us. God bless you. God bless the great state of Kansas.
Today is truly an exciting day for Kansas all over the state. And quite frankly, it's not something that I ever dreamed could be possible during the tenure of my tenure as Kansas Speaker of the House. But what some of you may not know, prior to serving as Speaker, I was a small business owner. And that leads me to an approach on all decisions that I make with the role of what businesses can provide for the state of Kansas. When this opportunity first presented itself and the legislature discussed using the STAR bond legislation to establish a funding tool that could help make a home for the Chiefs here in Kansas, it certainly piqued my interest, and I would have to say Ron Reichman helped pique that interest. Of course, the team brings a lot of excitement, and you gotta love the economic potential for our state and the region. But what also makes this opportunity unique is that STAR bonds ensure that Kansas taxpayers are not on the hook. We would never use state general fund money or implement a sales tax just for this purpose, like we've seen other states do. That's simply not the Kansas way. STAR bonds make an opportunity like this realistic for our state and make it a good deal for Kansans. There are many wins in the proposal passed by the LCC today, and the economic benefit speaks for itself. 20,000 jobs come into the state of Kansas. 20,000. Over $4 billion in economic activity, and that's just from the construction alone. We're looking at over $1 billion annually after that. Beyond the new world-class stadium, there will be new restaurants, hotels, and small businesses just like you've heard. Quite frankly, I believe the biggest economic win we'll ever have in the state of Kansas. And we did it all while protecting Kansas taxpayers' dollars. That has always been critically important to me and my colleagues in the legislature. On top of that, I'm looking forward to taking my girls and their families to a Chiefs game right here in Kansas. Maybe they'll also bring a great rodeo to that beautiful stadium. I had to throw that in. Actually, I was talking to one of the people from the Chiefs today and found out he's a really big rodeo fan too, so I've got an ally already in that process. This massive achievement today was made possible by so many of the folks in this room. The Chiefs organization, the Hunt family, thank you very much, Mr. Hunt, Mr. Donovan, the Kansas legislature, our diligent Commerce Department, Lieutenant Governor Tolan, and our governor. Today is the start of something truly special, something that goes far beyond all of us here in this room. This win is for Kansas families everywhere. Thank you to everyone for making today possible. I'm very proud of the role that the Kansas legislature played in getting this done. We all worked together to scoop and score this win for Kansas.
Thank you, Speaker Hawkins and President Masterson. We're almost at the end of the program, but before we have our local partners close us out, there are 3 people who haven't been publicly acknowledged today that I want to recognize. First, my Special Assistant, Kelsey Williams, whose fierce loyalty and determination to see the Chiefs project through has been just exemplary. Our Legislative Director, Rachel Willis, who is the most creative, skilled navigator of complex political dynamics I've ever seen. And last, and frankly most importantly, Bob North, who is the father of STAR bonds and who is someone who has given his life and his career to public service, and he has touched so many good things in this state that are known and unknown. And Bob North is the single most important person from the state side to make this happen. Thank you, Bob. So this is not only a huge win for the Chiefs and for the state, but it's also a huge win for the city of Olathe and our local communities in Wyandotte County. Here to underscore the excitement and impact that today's announcement will bring to their communities, we've got Mayor John Bacon of Olathe and Mayor Crystal Watson of KCK. Mayor Bacon, will you start us off?
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Tolan. Good afternoon. Merry Christmas, right? Feels like Christmas. What an exciting day for Olathe and Kansas. This is a game changer. We are thrilled to be part of the solution to bring bigger and better NFL facilities to the Metro, a home that our Super Bowl champs deserve. Olathe is a community known for its high quality of life and outstanding community pride. The Kansas City Chiefs have already been a huge part of this community for a long time, and we could not be more excited to welcome them to Olathe. They bring excitement, joy, and support to our community, and we look forward to deepening those ties and keeping them strongly rooted here in the region for many years to come. Thank you to everyone who has worked so hard to make this happen. Thank you, Governor Kelly and Lieutenant Governor Tolan, President Masterson and Speaker Hawkins for their hard work and all that they have done and continue to do for the state of Kansas. Thank you, Tim McKee. Tim, I saw you over here, I think. You wave it. Yeah. Tim McKee worked really hard in the Olathe Chamber of Commerce for your key role and all that you've played today and every day in setting up a big, huge win for Olathe. And thank you especially to the Chiefs organization and the Hunt family. We're grateful for your commitment to the Kansas City Metro and especially to these fans. We can't wait for you to see why Olathe is such an exceptional place to work and to call home. We look forward to being a part of the team's extraordinary legacy. We're eager to get to work, and there's a lot of work to be done on this project, and are committed to ensuring the process and the result are both first class. Something everyone in Olathe and all across Chiefs Kingdom can be proud of. So thank you, and go Chiefs!
Good afternoon. We want to thank the Governor and Lieutenant Governor for their leadership on behalf of the great state of Kansas and for delivering this major economic win. I also want to thank the commissioners and the administration from Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas. We also thank the Kansas City Chiefs for choosing Kansas as their next home. Additionally, we appreciate the cities of Lenexa, Shawnee, and Olathe for partnering with Wyandotte County on this bold collaborative initiative. We are excited about this regional partnership and committed to delivering real results that benefit Kansas, strengthen our region, and uplift our local community. With that said, Chiefs, Clark Hunt family, welcome to Kansas!
All right, everyone. That was the information and the announcement from Kansas City leaders about the Chiefs moving from Missouri over to Kansas City, Kansas. We're going to take another 2-minute break. On the other side, we'll have my interview with Nate Morabito on a story that we just had at 5:30. We'll see you in 2 minutes. All right, folks, welcome back. We do want to give you some breaking news that we've been monitoring for at least the last hour or two. This happened around the 3 o'clock hour down in Texas. And in fact, KHOU, our sister station down in Houston, is reporting that in Galveston, Texas, a plane crashed into Galveston Bay and it killed at least 3 people. This information from the United States Coast Guard, but the plane was from Mexico. Apparently, it was a Mexican military plane on some sort of medical reconnaissance type of trip. So it seems like, according to the Galveston County Sheriff's Office, it took off from Mexico, Merida, Mexico, which is the capital city of the Mexican state of Yucatan. So they say that the plane was heading to Galveston with at least one pediatric burn patient on board. And according to video from the scene, at least one child was pulled from the water and then loaded onto an ambulance. So there's a dive team on this crash scene. It's north of the International Airport in Houston right now. So the Texas Department of Public Safety is on scene right now investigating this. Secretary of the Navy of Mexico posted about this incident as well about an hour ago. So again, this is a developing story that we will have more on for you, but wanted to update you on this. A little bit earlier, I did speak to Nate Morabito about this Operation Charlotte's Web that we had, over a month ago now. More than 400 people were detained in this and actually taken to detention centers in Georgia. A lot of those individuals are waiting for their due process and able to be seen in front of a judge with really no timetable on when that's going to happen. So let's go to him, go to this conversation right now that I had with Nate about the story. All right, so we've got a number of individuals, Nate, obviously more than 400 people detained right now that are in this facility hoping to get into court. I mean, is there any date or is there any idea when these individuals could be going before a judge, or even if they get a chance to even talk to their lawyer, right, about what comes next?
There really isn't a timeline here, and there's 2 facilities actually these people are being held at in Georgia, and really so far what is you needed to do is to get an attorney and pay the anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 generally to get one of these writs of habeas corpus filed, and then to argue the case. And in this case out of Charlotte, the one that really kind of triggered this investigation for me, it's this case right here. It's an Egyptian man. We mentioned it in the story just there. He's a native Egyptian man, but had been seeking asylum here. This came across a federal website that I'm looking at regularly related to the courts, and I flagged it, and I thought it was interesting because I knew if there was one, there had to be others out there, right? Because we have not heard anything about the legal process or rights of these people. They do have due process rights. That's really important to know. And in his case, he eventually successfully argued that he was wrongly being held without bond, and the judge said that you have to give him a bond hearing within 48 hours. Now, I don't know if he had that bond hearing. In the immigration world, you need an A number. I don't know if you've heard of this or you're familiar, but it's essentially this number that's a unique identifier that is attached to your name and home country that allows you, your family, journalists, whoever, to track where your immigration court situation stands, where your detention stands. And for this case, I don't have that A number, so I really don't know if he had that bond hearing. I would imagine he did have that bond hearing because as you saw from the Assistant Secretary of DHS, she told us we do follow the law until we get the Supreme Court to overrule a judge's order. And so I would assume in this case that this man has received his bond hearing. The question, though, is, Colin, how many more are out there like this? Because when you look through the court system, particularly, let me show you my process a little bit. I go to pacer.gov. It's this federal government court website. And I basically put the names of the wardens of these 2 Georgia facilities in my search bar. And there's just tons upon tons of these writs of habeas corpus. But when you click on the actual filing, you can't have access to it. How many names do we have right now from Operation Charlotte's Web? How many names has the government given us? Not many. So there are hundreds of others out there. By the way, these people were not on the worst of the worst list, that we don't know where their situation stands. The man at the center of our story that we told you about, Dennis, a few minutes ago, whose wife we talked to, fairly newlywed, he is now trying to get bond through a different process. Now that there is this kind of standing order to some degree that these people being detained, particularly the nonviolent ones, do deserve a chance at a bond hearing. They're trying to go through the process with ICE of just saying, hey, can you review the case to see if we can get bond? And the whole idea here, too, is that these deportation cases have a tendency to take a very long time. There's a massive immigration court backlog. Some people have said there's not enough judges. And so what happens is you have these people that are being detained at length, when in reality, most of the time in our criminal court system here, you can secure bond while you're awaiting trial. As long as you show up at trial, it's not going to be an issue. And in the meantime, maybe they can try to build their legal case. Maybe they can go back to work. These are things that they do have a right to. They have a right to a bond hearing. But because of where they were picked up, this is the key dispute. Because they were picked up in Charlotte and not at the Mexico-Texas border, attorneys say they deserve a bond hearing. Now, if they're picked up right upon entry into this country, that may be a different story. They may get mandatory detention and may quickly get moved out. In these cases, it does not seem like they're going to be deported quickly.
Wow. A lot to unpack there. I will ask, have the attorneys or, the spouses, have they talked about the fear related to this? Because I think that's something that a lot of folks don't necessarily get to talk a lot about. And I think that's what, I still go down South Boulevard, and I have to be honest, a lot of the shops that I've seen from different ethnicities still aren't either open or, and I think people are still fearful of what could happen, of what might be around. So did they say anything about that, of how to, calm the nerves, not only their defendant, right, but also the family that might be waiting for them? Because, as you said, there's no timeline for this, and it seems like these people could be held for years. Who knows at this point?
Right, and a bond hearing doesn't mean they're not going to be deported ultimately. Let's just be clear there either, right? Like, regardless of their immigration status, all a bond hearing is going to do is decide whether or not they can be released, pay some money while they're waiting for their deportation order. The one woman you just heard from said that you could hear the fear in her husband's voice there. The Carolina Migrant Network is really trying to kind of pair up these families with attorneys who can take cases pro bono, even low bono, so there's less cost. That's a process. And, we've worked really hard on trying to identify people willing to share their stories in the aftermath of Operation Charlotte's Web. I have talked to just 2 families, and this is really dedicating a lot of time and resources to help the public understand what the impact of this operation was. We've been only able to track down 2 of them. And for one of those families, we needed a translator in the room. So there is a language barrier that I think is part of the problem of really communicating to the public the depth of this. There is also a fear situation. You have people that are now wrapped up in this system that perhaps don't want to say something that could set them back potentially even farther. So, yeah, there is a lot of that, and there is the potential that this isn't the end of it. Yeah. We know that the government has said they really haven't left, right? And we know that the Department of Homeland Security has an office not far from where we sit right now. There is some thoughts that they may be back at some point in more force too. And so, what will be interesting is to see if this precedent holds, this legal precedent holds, or if the government's able to overturn it. What the government will tell you is we have the money to build more beds and to house as many people as we need at this point. And so they believe they want to keep these people detained because they say they are here illegally, they broke the law, and we don't want to release them back out into the street. Right. But again, like even in this case right here, nonviolent, not a flight risk. That's what the court documents say.
It's interesting. Like I said, it begs the question as to why some of these individuals are where they're at, and for how long they're going to be there. So a lot of questions. I know that we still need answers too, but it's tough because there's a lot of roadblocks, it seems, from the federal government, like you said, trying to get information on certain files that may not be there. So
yeah, we've asked, Colin, we've asked for a breakdown of everyone taken into custody. Yeah. Congresswoman Alma Adams, citing our initial investigation, has asked for that same information. It's not been provided yet. And, part of this, too, has been the government said they were coming here to target the worst of the worst. And, our initial reporting found that wasn't always the case. Right. And even this most recent version of our investigation, looking into bond hearings, the cases we found no criminal records that we're able to identify here that show these people are violent. So there's some different things going on here, beyond even just immigration. Rights, due process rights, what the government says they're going to do, what they're going to actually do, transparency throughout this process. You know, DHS has a worst of the worst website, which I look at regularly, that lists names and home countries and pictures of people they consider the worst of the worst. You can scan through that. A lot of these people are not on there. The people that I've identified are not in that list. So we're still kind of hungry for more information here. And I think it's really difficult too, Colin, and maybe you recognize this too. I mean, Charlotte has had such a busy and unusually high-profile news year, right? These new things keep happening here. Generally, all of them terrible, right, in one way or the other. And I think what happens is that if you don't dedicate to really figuring out what happened in each of these cases, whether it's that terrible plane crash last week or Operation Charlotte's Web, we're only going to get bits and pieces, right? We need to really commit to do the reporting, which is going to be a marathon for all of these things.
Absolutely. Right. And as we know, we've reported as well that in some of these operations, there have been American citizens wrapped up as well. So it does need accurate journalistic, ethics and integrity, all those things mix together to make sure that the story is correct. So obviously we're waiting that information. Appreciate you reaching out to DHS and anything else that you wanted to add to this, Nate?
No, I think we keep telling people that we run into that are in these circles of kind of trust of people that were taken up in this operation. If there is a story that's not being told or questions that need to be asked, please let us know. We're certainly not interested in headlines here, right? We want to do the actual work as fairly as possible, as with the lack of sensation, right? Just the reality. This is what's happening. And that's why I think this court case story is so important, because while we're all moving on about our life, people are being held without a chance at bond. And judges are saying the government can't do that.
Right.
Even for people who are here illegally. That is important that we tell the public. And I think that we wouldn't know that had we not been scouring federal court records, or have we not had connections with people in the community. Like for Dennis's wife, for example, we would have never connected with her had we not gained the trust of some people in this community. So I just think that whether it's this or anything, quite honestly, if we're missing something when it comes to our news reporting, we need to be called out and alerted to it so we can look into it. So it's kind of just me asking for a holiday present maybe of, let us help you and help the public be more informed in all of these situations that have happened this year and that will continue to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it does. I mean, a lot of the news that we get that ends up making an impact on people's lives comes from individuals in the community. So it's a great point. Appreciate your time, Nate. Make sure that you watch tonight. Tell me the times it'll be on.
It's here at 5:30.
All right, so it'll be on at 5:30 tonight. And then, of course, you can see our interview here on WCNC Plus anytime you would like. And then, over on WCNC.com. All right, guys, we're going to take another 2-minute break as we have about just 14 minutes before we send things to our 9 o'clock hour. We'll be back in 2 minutes, though. All right, welcome back, folks. Earlier today, California had a huge outage where more than 100,000 folks were impacted and almost reached up to the international airport in San Francisco. PG&E are the ones that are handling this outage. Seems like the lights are back on, but we're going to get an update from leaders from the company right now.
Melissa, and good afternoon, everyone. I have the privilege, as Melissa mentioned, to serve as the CEO of Pacific Gas and Electric Company. I'm also joined here by Bob Dean, who leads our International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. So thank you, Bob, for being with us. And I want to extend my sincere appreciation to everyone who's here and joining us so that we can share more information with you about the fire that occurred over the weekend and the subsequent outage that impacted many of our customers in San Francisco and through this morning. I want to first begin by thanking the City of San Francisco, the Fire Department, the first responders, Mayor Daniel Luray for ongoing coordination. Safety is always our most important responsibility, and we appreciate their partnership in keeping our customers safe. To our San Francisco customers and visitors, we completely understand the disruption and frustration this fire and outage caused, especially during the holiday season, and we sincerely apologize for the inconvenience it caused. Our teams have been working safely and urgently to restore power, and we are grateful for their around-the-clock response, and you can see a lot of our teams working behind me who haven't stopped since the fire and the outage occurred right around 1 p.m. on Saturday. I know many of you have questions about the events that led to the fire and the outage and what happened. I'd like to clarify a few facts for you. The fire and outage began shortly after 1 p.m. on Saturday at our Mission substation, which is the current location that we are at, initially impacting about 40,000 customers. We do not know yet the root cause of the fire, given the extensive damage that our equipment experienced inside the station as a result of the fire. This damage included damaging one of our critical system components known as a circuit breaker, which is a safety switch that de-energizes electricity when there's an issue that's detected on the electrical system. The cause of the fire and the outage is under investigation. We've engaged an independent third-party engineering firm to complete the root cause evaluation. We had to de-energize additional portions of our electric system to make it safe for the fire department to suppress the fire, which caused outages to peak at approximately 130,000 customers by 4 p.m. The fire suppression involved additional complexities. As you can see behind me, this is a multi-level building with electrical equipment, and the complexities included ventilating carbon monoxide from the multi-level building and the entirety of the building, so it was safe for our personnel to begin initiating the restoration process. By 6:15 p.m., the fire department made the location safe, enabling our teams to initiate damage assessment and begin restoration. And again, I would like to highlight the tremendous work that the San Francisco Fire Department did safely to be able to make the building safe for our teams to be able to enter and start the initiation and the restoration process. Approximately 2 hours after we were able to enter the building, by 8:45 p.m., we were able to restore nearly 32,000 customers. By 9:30 p.m. on the same day, on Saturday, we had restored nearly 100,000 customers. So that means we restored about 75% of the total effective customers within 3 hours and 15 minutes from the time we had the ability to begin restoration. 90% of all customers that were impacted had been restored by noon as of yesterday, with about 15,000 customers remaining out of power. As about an hour ago, 4,700 customers in the Presidio, Richmond District, Golden Gate Park, and small areas of downtown San Francisco remain without power, and we are working as quickly and as safely as possible to get them restored. As we have continued our intrusive damage assessment process, we have identified significant damage to our system, and some customers that were scheduled to be restored by 2 p.m., we may have to go beyond that time to ensure that our system is stable and safe. Overall, we will have more than 96% of our impacted customers restored by 2 p.m. today, and our focus is to ensure that we leave no customer behind. I would like to stress that the damage from the fire in our substation has been significant and extensive, requiring complex, safety-focused repairs. Naturally, the fire had to be addressed before we could start the restoration process. Once it was safe to do so, we mobilized every available engineer and electrician into the city, as you can see behind me, to accelerate the restoration process. Throughout this response, safety has been our top priority. There are no known injuries to our coworkers or members of the public. Now, you may be wondering why this failure occurred. We perform regular inspections and preventative maintenance on our substation equipment. We completed preventative maintenance at this very specific substation as recent as October of 2025. We also complete inspections every 2 months or bi-monthly. The last inspection was completed on December 5th of this year. As part of the root cause that is being performed by a third-party engineering firm, we will determine what occurred to ensure it never happens again. We completely understand the significant impact that this outage has had caused by the fire and the significant hardship, especially for those who are without power for extended periods of time. We want to acknowledge that many customers received estimated times of restoration that proved to be inaccurate. We understand how frustrating and confusing this was. In general, our estimated time of restoration systems perform well. Year to date, we have been able to restore more than 91% of our customers before or by the time the estimated time of restoration has been provided across our system. Now, obviously, that did not work effectively in this circumstance over this weekend. And we are committed to understanding exactly what happened, why it happened, and owning the fixes and address any issues so that we mitigate reoccurrence to be able to help improve our customer communications and experience going forward. To support those customers, we opened a community resource center in our Richmond district. The Customer Resource Center offers charging stations, free Wi-Fi, and other amenities. We have also partnered very closely with 211 to be able to help provide the network of door-to-door wellness checks, provide hotel accommodations, and food vouchers to the most vulnerable customers to help them stay safe and comfortable during the outage. I cannot express how we take to the heart the impact that our customers have had. We own that, and we're committed to ensuring that we're doing right by them and we're leaving no customer behind as part of this process. We will connect with our impacted customers and provide information on our website and through our customer service team very soon on how they can go through a claims-related process to the outage to make sure we do right by them. And we're going to make this process as simple and as responsive as possible. Before I wrap up today and invite Bob Dean to share some of his sentiments and remarks, I want to acknowledge that there's 2 strong winter storms that we're forecasting to move through our service area tomorrow and later on Wednesday. Our teams are forecasting that in parts of the North Coast we could see 4 to 10 inches of rain. Snow levels are expected to be above 6,000 feet. We are prepared. Per our standards and protocols, we have activated our Emergency Operations Center as well as all of our regional and local storm emergency centers. Although impacts are anticipated system-wide, we have pre-positioned additional crews where storm impact is expected to be most severe. More than 5,500 PG&E frontline co-workers and contractors will be supporting the storm response. Our commitment to safety, reliability, and customer support remains unwavering, no matter what challenges lie ahead. So before we go into Q&A, I would like to extend my sincere appreciation for your time and invite Bob Dean to share some of his remarks.
I'm mostly here to talk about the workforce, the men and women that you see putting all this behind you. They were here immediately after the event. After this event, they'll be here 24/7 until we get this stabilized. They've been here 24 hours a day working on this to get it stabilized. This is their community too. They have as much at stake here as anybody else. They want this power back. They want the station to be stable. In the atmospheric rivers and all that's coming, we have an army of people ready to put those cities back if there's problems.
All right, guys, we're going to send you now to the 9 o'clock hour. We'll see you at the 11 p.m. show on WCNC Charlotte.